Right now at 5, we have an update to a story we broke to you yesterday. Police in Galena, Kansas released the name of the victim involved in a fatal shooting.
And we've got a very breezy start for us across the area, and we're watching thunderstorms moving in. We'll take a look at that coming up.
And we meet a woman who went from being arrested to becoming an executive director, proving that you can do anything.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we did have a severe thunderstorm watch for parts of southeast Kansas, but they did cancel that just over an hour ago. But we still have thunderstorms that are expected to roll through the area as we go through the morning hours. So as you can see in our immediate area, there are no watches or warnings at this time. You can see that severe thunderstorm watch off to the north of our area. That's where they've still been dealing with some stronger storms. So what we're keeping an eye on is this little tail that's been developing back down toward Wichita, and you can see it over the last few hours where it grows and continues to roll east-southeast, and then back in northeast, or in central Oklahoma rather, you can see over the last couple hours these storms developing. And so what's expected is that this and this will eventually meet. However, they're going to come into an area that is just not favorable for severe weather. So while we'll see some thunderstorms this morning, we're not anticipating anything severe at this point. Wind advisory, southeast Kansas through 7 a.m. and through southwest Missouri through 8 a.m. because if you haven't noticed, it is quite breezy. You can see where our best storm chances are going to peak for some of us across the area as these roll through this morning, and they should all be out of here, say, right around noon or slightly after. So here's what we're looking at by 6 a.m., and then we start to see where some of these thunderstorms try to get something going, but they just really can't get off the ground. It's not until they start to roll east of our area that they'll actually pick up some intensity. MoDOT camera 20th and range line's been shaking all morning with those wind gusts out there. KDOT camera 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh's been a little steadier just south of Pittsburgh up there. In Joplin right now, we're clear 71, south breeze at 26, gusting to 46 miles an hour out there. Very breezy ahead of this cold front. 69 Iola, 71 Parsons Chatopa, 70 Miami Neosho, and 71 in Carthage. As we get our day started, again, some scattered thunderstorms, breezy, near 70 by late morning. Temperatures just kind of hovering there. Lower 70s for highs today. We clear out of the storms and we remain cloudy, and winds still gusting upwards of about 20 miles an hour. And into this evening, much colder, down to 46, partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, and still a bit on the breezy side. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. A federal judge sentences a Carthage man for sexually exploiting a child. On Tuesday, Charles Ward Kunsel received 24 years and 5 months with no chance of parole in federal prison for sexually exploiting a Michigan child he met on Discord. Kunsel admitted that he used a child victim to produce child pornography from September 1st of 2020 to April 21st of 2021. Kunsel pleaded guilty in 2022. Upon completion of his sentence, Kunsel will spend 20 years on supervised release and will be subject to state and federal sex offender registration requirements. Local authorities arrest another person related to the Missouri statewide Amber Alert issued Saturday night. 38-year-old Amber Turner of Sarcoxie is charged with felony endangering the welfare of a child. She is the mother of the 7-year-old Sarcoxie girl who was reported missing. On Tuesday, authorities charged 23-year-old Matthew Honeycutt of Neosho with felony kidnapping. They're holding him in the Jasper County Jail with bonds set at $250,000 cash only. Now, according to court filings, Honeycutt had Turner's permission to drive her car from her address with the child to something that was only to take a few minutes. But he was gone 6 hours with the girl. The girl was found safe at I-44 exit 4 and did not appear harmed. She is currently in state custody. We now know the name of the victim in a fatal Tuesday shooting in Galena, Kansas. Authorities say 27-year-old Levi Porter of Riverton was shot and killed Tuesday night in Galena. It happened around 9 p.m. on the 800 block of Columbus Avenue. Sheriff David Grove says Cherokee County emergency medical personnel tried to revive Porter, but were unsuccessful. Now, Sheriff Grove says authorities arrested 49-year-old Billy Barker from Galena at the scene. He's now at the Cherokee County Jail on pending charges of second-degree murder. One of the county officials caught up in a scandal in McCurtain County, Oklahoma, has resigned. The commissioner was identified by a local newspaper as one of several officials recorded discussing killing reporters and lynching black people. Spokesperson for Governor Kevin Stitt said the office received a handwritten resignation letter from McCurtain County Commissioner Mark Jennings. In it, Jennings says he is resigning immediately and that he plans to release a formal statement. Also, 3 members of the McCurtain County Sheriff's Office, including the sheriff, have been suspended from the Oklahoma Sheriff's Association. It's a nonprofit that supports law enforcement. All are accused of making racist remarks, expressing disappointment black people can no longer be lynched, and threatening to kill 2 journalists, Bruce Willingham and his son, Chris Willingham. Wednesday marked the 28th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. On April 19th, 1995, a rental truck filled with explosives was detonated outside Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. It killed 168 people, including 19 children, and injured several hundred more. 2 former U.S. Army soldiers, Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols, were convicted of the attack. A remembrance ceremony was held at the Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum. Well, a woman from Carthage, Missouri is sharing her history with the hopes of inspiring others. KOAM's Carrie Worthen joins us live in studio this morning to tell us more. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning. From living in a warehouse on meth to stealing a vehicle and getting arrested, some obstacles in her life got in the way. But today, Smith is an executive director of Crosslines in Carthage, Missouri. Smith says that arrests led to her change in her lifestyle.
Carthage Community Crisis Center, everybody that pours into the Crisis Center, everybody that pours into Crosslines, and people, I would have said, in spite of knowing my past, still love me, but because of my past, they love me.
Smith just bought her first home and visits the Carthage Crisis Center often to help mentor and help others.
How long ago did her convictions, and how long did it take for her to come around, I guess? Turn her life around. Yeah.
So I know that she just recently got, about 2 months ago, she said she left the Crisis Center because she bought her first home. She was in the Crisis Center for 5 years. So she volunteered at the Crisis Center, and then she got a job and started working at the Crisis Center for 2 years. So probably a little bit before 5 years was when she came here and started to change everything.
That's awesome. All right. Happy ending there. Thanks, Carrie. Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we take you to Webb City, where some local athletes signed to play in their collegiate careers. Plus, the elderly man who shot a Kansas City teen for simply being at the wrong place pleads not guilty. This makes us wonder, should owning a gun have an age limit? And if you have type 2 diabetes and drink coffee, you may want to stop. We'll have more details. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, we have a couple of local schools hosting signing days for their senior student athletes. In Webb City, as always, the Cardinals have a big signing day with 6 student athletes signing to continue their careers in college. 2 of them are playing basketball and staying in the area. Izzy Lopez signs to play at Cotty College, while Joe Adams is headed to Joplin to play at Ozark Christian College. Then they have one baseball signee. Gage Chapman signs to continue his career at Missouri Valley College in Marshall, Missouri.
My long-term goal is just hopefully, make sure that I'm working hard and just being eligible for the time and the friends and being on that mound one time.
Getting able to take that new step and discovering more about myself, like my capabilities and things, because I definitely know there's more to it than what I had during season.
I just want to have a successful career. I want to be able to go in and make an immediate impact and be able to impact this team for 4 years and just do my best I can, the best I can.
You can check out more interviews from Webb City signing day in this story on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. In Frontenac, Raiders have 2 seniors signing in Hattie Pyle and Kenley Lakey. both playing basketball. Lakey is going to Labette Community College. Pyle is headed to Cowley Community College. She's an all-state player, a 3-time all-conference pick, and a 1,000-point scorer for the Raiders.
I've just loved basketball my whole life. It's always been my favorite, and I just like the speed of the game. It's faster than most games and stuff, and it's just like you make a mistake, but you get next time down the court you get another chance. I'm just gonna go and play basketball and see where that leads me. I'm excited to play in the conference. It's a really competitive conference, and competitive everything there is just so competitive, and I'm just really excited to play.
Gabby, which is the assistant coach, she really helped me push towards doing basketball. I was really iffy at the very beginning, but she just kind of pushed me more because she was really welcoming into coming in. She helped me through all my schooling, getting through what I need to do and all that.
Still to come, presidents, Holocaust survivors, and their families gathered to remember the 80th anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And we're going to take another look at those storm chances across the area when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Got a lot to cover this morning. We've got no watches or warnings in our area right now in terms of severe weather, which is good news. We're watching this line of storms that's developing out to our west, just starting to edge into parts of our area. And you can see and watch it develop over the last few hours here as it continues to grow southwesterly rather. And it's expected to try and join up with this activity that over the last few hours has really gone up across parts of central Oklahoma. Now, the good news is, at least at this point, even though we'll get this line of storms, it's running into an environment that is not really favorable for strong to severe thunderstorms. That's not to say a strong storm or two is impossible. It's just odds of a severe storm at this point are particularly low, but we will, of course, keep an eye on it. Weather in the 4 states, you never know for sure. We got the wind advisory, southeast Kansas through 7, and for southwest Missouri through 8 this morning. And this is what this is looking like. So you see, it tries to join up into this line, but there's just not enough energy here to really get these thunderstorms going. We could still see thunderstorms come 9 o'clock, but they're not expected to be too much. And this line will continue off to the east by noon, and as it heads further east into the afternoon, that's when it will really start to intensify. And that'll move the severe threat well to our south and east. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, shaking in the breeze. KDOT camera, 69 and 400, looking good so far. And we do have very windy conditions, and it'll be that way through the morning hours for sure. 71 in Joplin, south breeze at 26, gusting to 46. Gusty winds for all. 71 in Nevada, Fort Scott, Parsons, 73 Chanute, 70 Miami, Neosho, and 68 in Monette. We get our morning started. Scattered storms, those very gusty winds out there. Lower 70s by late morning. Lower 70s for our highs today. Once the storms are out of here, we'll stay cloudy. We'll still see winds gusting upwards in that 20-mile-an-hour range, but they'll calm down a bit. They'll stay breezy tonight as well. Mostly clear skies. Cold, though, down to the mid-40s for overnight lows. Chillier tomorrow, chilly into the weekend. Look at Saturday, 55 with a low of 35, so make sure your vegetation is ready. We start to warm up a bit heading into next week, and as we head into next week, also watching the possibility of a few more showers and thunderstorms. Well, a plea of not guilty was entered by the man accused of shooting a teen who mistakenly rang the doorbell at his home. It's just one of a series of shootings involving innocent bystanders or mistaken identity. Brian Todd has the latest.
84-year-old Kansas City homeowner Andrew Lester arraigned after being charged in the shooting of 16-year-old Ralph Yarl. Lester pleaded not guilty to 2 felony counts, first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Yarl shot in the head last Thursday after going to the wrong house to pick up his siblings. As Yarl recovers from his wounds, the man who shot him is out on bail. The probable cause statement said Andrew Lester believed someone was trying to break into his house, but the mayor of Kansas City says there's another component at play.
I think that this has everything to do with race, the defendant's fear of black people, black men, black boys.
But this was also part of a series of incidents over the past few days where young people were shot after making the simple mistake of going to the wrong place. In Elgin, Texas, about 30 minutes east of Austin, 2 teenage cheerleaders were shot and wounded in a parking lot on Monday night when one of them mistook the suspect's car for their own. An injured cheerleader described the exchange.
And I was trying to apologize to him, and then I just, halfway my window was down, he just threw his hands up and then he pulled out a gun, and then he just started shooting at all of us.
The suspect is now in custody, charged with deadly conduct. And in Hebron, New York, near the Vermont border, 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis was shot and killed on Saturday when a car her boyfriend was driving accidentally turned into the wrong driveway. The sheriff says 65-year-old Kevin Monahan fired 2 shots from his porch. He's charged with second-degree murder. Monahan's lawyer says he was frightened from seeing multiple vehicles speeding up his driveway. But the sheriff says witnesses and neighbors have another version.
They weren't in the driveway for a very long time at all before they realized it was the wrong house. And they were in the process of leaving, which makes this case obviously a little different. And I don't know how you could menace someone if you're leaving.
At least 28 states have stand your ground laws, which allow people to respond to threats of force if they're in a place where they have a right to be. Could stand your ground be cited in any of these cases?
I don't see how it should come into play because there was no imminent threat by the individuals that were shot. There was no furtive movement by these people. They weren't armed.
Retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey says the actions of some lawmakers here in Washington, some who carry firearms, some who wear pins on their lapels shaped like AR-15 rifles, aren't helping in this environment. She says it seems like they're almost daring people to shoot in these situations. Brian Todd, CNN, Washington.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Should there be an age limit on owning a gun? Yes or no? We want to hear from you. You can vote through our website, through the app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. And we will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, millions of Americans put their health on the line every time they step outside. And that's according to a new report out Wednesday from the American Lung Association that focuses on ozone and particle pollution. It shows that about 1 in 4 Americans live with air pollution that can hurt their health and shorten their lives. A disproportionate amount of people are of color or residents of Western cities. 10 of the 25 most polluted cities are in California. New York, Chicago, and Hartford, Connecticut were the only 3 on the list east of the Mississippi River. The Environmental Protection Agency says since 1970, emissions of outdoor air pollutants have fallen by 78% after President Richard Nixon signed the Clean Air Act. The author of the report says there have been improvements with the Clean Air Act and that efforts like emission controls and people working from home have also helped. The Supreme Court has temporarily extended access to an abortion drug. Wednesday, Justice Samuel Alito moved to continue a temporary hold on a lower court ruling that would have imposed restrictions on access to an abortion drug. The move is meant to give the justices more time to consider the issue. Alito oversees emergency disputes in the region where the lawsuit was filed, and this case challenges the Food and Drug Administration's approach to regulating mifepristone, a drug used to terminate pregnancies. We'll have more on this in our 6 o'clock show. Strep infections are surging this season, and that's according to a new analysis, and it's happening amid a shortage of an antibiotic commonly used to treat strep. Epic Health Research Network looked at electronic health records from 100 million Americans from thousands of clinics and hospitals across the country. They found cases of the infection were up 30% this February compared to the same time in 2017. Preliminary numbers for March show a continuation of that trend, and the season runs through April. The CDC says strep is most common in children ages 5 to 15. Many cases are mild and treatable with antibiotics, but Group A infections are more severe. The CDC says it's looking into a potential increase of those this season. The strep surge comes amid a shortage of liquid amoxicillin. That's the antibiotic most often used to treat Group A infections. Well, Black women may need to start screening for breast cancer earlier. And that's according to a new study on breast cancer deaths. A team of international researchers looked at mortality rates and found that Black women have a 40% higher death rate from the cancer than white women, even though Black women have a 4% lower incidence rate of breast cancer. Right now, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force recommends mammograms for all women starting at age 50. But the American Cancer Society recommends all women consider mammogram screenings beginning at age 40. Mammograms are X-ray pictures of the breast that doctors examine to look for early signs of breast cancer. The authors of the study suggest ethnicity should be considered when making a recommendation for the age when breast cancer screening should begin. Well, a simple cup of joe can have an impact on the risk of early death for adults with diabetes. That's according to research revealed in a study published Wednesday in the journal BMJ. Researchers analyzed the dietary data of over 15,000 adults with type 2 diabetes. They found certain beverages are more beneficial to the patients than others. For instance, they say drinking more coffee, tea, or plain water may lower the risk of dying prematurely from any cause for diabetic patients by about 25%. However, drinking more sugar-sweetened beverages raise the risk of dying from a heart attack or another cardiovascular event by 29% and raise the risk of dying from heart disease by 25%. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got another warm and very breezy morning for us across the 4 states. That's ahead of some thunderstorm chances today. We'll talk about all that when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly makes it official. Lehigh is now an official state park.
And we've got ourselves a very windy morning. As you can see, the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline blowing in the breeze. We've also got some thunderstorm chances. We'll talk about that coming up.
Tornadoes hit central Oklahoma and caused damage in towns such as Cole.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So very mild, very breezy for us across the area. The good news is, at least right now, we have no severe thunderstorm watches or warnings to talk about, but we did earlier into the overnight hours. We did have that severe thunderstorm watch in southeast Kansas. That was canceled a couple of hours ago. We are watching this line of storms, as you can see, just getting into the western edges of our viewing area. No severe weather with any of this, and honestly, we're not anticipating any severe weather, but it is a line that we will continue to watch because it's kind of developing off of where those stronger storms have been. It's expected to really not intensify much, barely hold its own as it rolls off to the east, but it is expected to join up with activity. It's going up pretty well across central Oklahoma. Again, it will make a nice little line of storms, but isn't expected to do much other than just give us some rain and some thunder. Wind advisory, southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma through 7 and southwest Missouri through 8 this morning because it is very windy. So here we are at 9. There's that line. So again, it's a broken line of showers and storms not anticipated to be strong or severe. It will roll through the area through the morning. By noon, it's now well to the east toward Monette, back just east of Anderson and toward Bentonville, and it won't intensify until well after it leaves our area. MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline shaking in the breeze, but otherwise looking good, and we're okay from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. Our camera at 7th and Rangeline's been shaking a bit as well, and that's why. Look at that gust of 46 out of the south, 71 in Joplin, otherwise clear skies. You can definitely see where that front is off to our northwest. 71 Lamar, 72 Carthage, 70 Pittsburgh, Chatopa, Miami, Neosho, and 74 in Chanute. So we got our morning started. We'll have those scattered thunderstorms, winds still gusting 40 some odd miles an hour out there. Temperatures hovering upper 60s, lower 70s. And they warm up just a pinch heading into the afternoon into the lower 70s. Once the storms are gone, we're cloudy, breezy, gusts 20, 25 miles an hour. And then those wind gusts pick up again overnight. We clear out from the clouds and we get quite cold, dropping back down to 46 tonight. Chilly tomorrow, 66. I mean, that's not bad, but compared to where we've been, that's going to feel cold. It's going to feel even colder Saturday, 55 down to 35 for the low. We try to warm up heading into next week, but then as we head into next week, we also watch for additional rounds of showers and thunderstorms. And of course, if you have outdoor vegetation, you really want to get it in as we're going to be cold through the weekend. Of course, if any of those storms do decide to get a little nasty, we'll let you know, but otherwise, right now, just some showers and storms moving into the area. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. On Wednesday, a large tornado hit the McLean County, Oklahoma town of Cole. It caused significant property damage. CBS News affiliate News 9 says this Scissor Tail Event Center was destroyed in the storm. There haven't been any reports of injuries so far, but there have been numerous tornadoes throughout the evening, largely from Chickasha to Bridge Creek to the west sides of Moore and Norman. Missouri State Attorney General Andrew Bailey announced his office has launched a tip line for reports of questionable gender transition interventions. It's an online form where those who have experienced harm from gender transition interventions or witnessed troubling practices at transition clinics in Missouri can submit concerns. It stems from an investigation AG Bailey launched into a St. Louis pediatric transgender center accused by a whistleblower of using experimental drugs on children, among other things. Opponents say it has the potential to put transgender people at risk of persecution. On Wednesday, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly signed into law a bill designating hundreds of acres in Allen County as a state park. The 360 acres known as the Lehigh property includes a lake, a cave, and more than 14 miles of existing trails. Plans for the state park include a visitor center, RV hookups, floating cabins, and primitive campsites. It's now the state's 28th state park. Well, a woman from Carthage, Missouri is sharing her history with the hopes of inspiring others. KOAM's Carrie Worthen joins us live in studio this morning to tell us more. And good morning, Carrie.
Good morning, Tanya. From living in a warehouse on meth to stealing a vehicle and getting arrested, Tony Smith has had some obstacles in her life. But today, Smith is an executive director at Crosslines in Carthage, Missouri. Smith says that the arrest led to the change in her lifestyle.
Carthage Community Crisis Center, everybody that pours into the Crisis Center, everybody that pours into Crosslines, and people, I would have said, in spite of knowing my past, still love me, but because of my past, they love me.
Smith just bought her first home and visits the Carthage Crisis Center often to mentor and help others.
All right, you said she goes back to the Carthage Crisis Center to help out. How long did she actually stay there when she was a guest at the Crisis Center?
She stayed there for, she said she stayed there for 5 years total. So 3, she was getting her life together, and then 2, she was working at the Crosslines as an executive director. And she told me she just moved out 2 months ago after she bought her first home.
That is awesome. Glad to see she's doing well. Thank you so much, Carrie. Well, some student researchers at Missouri Southern shared their findings on Wednesday. It's part of the university's annual Student Research Symposium. The event featured projects completed by various Southern students in a variety of categories, including humanities, education, health sciences, and more.
So it is a voluntary option. Some students might be conducting research projects because of their classes that they have, but some students actually effectively seek out these opportunities on their own to further their knowledge and give themselves additional opportunities above and beyond their degree completion requirements.
Student researchers were there to answer questions and share their expertise on their findings. This morning, we are discussing setting an age limit for owning guns.
84-year-old Kansas City homeowner Andrew Lester arraigned after being charged in the shooting of 16-year-old Ralph Yarl. Lester pleaded not guilty to 2 felony counts, first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Yarl shot in the head last Thursday after going to the wrong house to pick up his siblings.
This was also a part of a series of incidents over the past few days where young people were shot after making the simple mistake of going to the wrong place. In Elgin, Texas, about 30 minutes east of Austin, 2 teenage cheerleaders were shot and wounded in a parking lot on Monday night when one of them mistook the suspect's car for their own.
And that brings us to our question for you this morning. Should there be an age limit on owning a gun? So far, 58% of you say there should be, 42% of you say there should not be. So make sure you take time to vote through our website, through the app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
All right. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, a Goodwill tries to help reunite a family with a bear that was accidentally donated.
Plus, a giant panda gifted to Thailand from China passes away. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from our very own control room in our studio. Topping World Watch, the Sudanese Doctor Syndicate shared video showing a major fire at a nurse's residence and damage to in Sina Hospital in Khartoum. On Monday, the group warned a number of hospitals and health institutions in the capital, Khartoum, and other cities around the country are out of service. Their statement came as deadly clashes and mutual shelling between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces continue despite global leaders and the NGOs calling for peace. Presidents, Holocaust survivors, and their family members gathered to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Ceremony honors the hundreds of Jews who fought valiantly against the Nazi Germany army in 1943, many losing their lives. Israeli President Isaac Herzog, German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, and Polish President Andrzej Duda were all in attendance. The main part of the ceremony takes place in front of the memorial to the ghetto heroes where the fighting started, and then the leaders will visit Warsaw's Nask Synagogue and later attend a concert by the Polish-Israeli Youth Symphony Orchestra. Some 6 million Jews were killed by Nazi Germany and its allies across German-occupied Europe. Credit Suisse has come under fire for not fully investigating accusations that the bank had serviced Nazi clients and Nazi-linked accounts until as recently as 2020. That's according to a press release from the Senate Budget Committee on Tuesday. The bank reportedly fired an independent person who oversaw a vast internal review and restricted the scope of its internal investigations. Senate committee said the action left significant gaps in the search for Nazi-linked records. In a statement on Tuesday, however, Credit Suisse said they had conducted a 2-year investigation and found no evidence to support allegations about Nazi-linked bank accounts. Credit Suisse is Switzerland's second largest bank by assets. It has spent the past few years plagued by scandals, large losses, and was forced into a sale to rival Swiss bank UBS in a bid to halt a banking crisis. In 1998, the bank paid $1.25 billion to settle lawsuits filed by Holocaust survivors and their heirs, claiming the banks illegally kept millions of dollars deposited by their relatives before and during World War II. U.S. Coast Guard is suspending its search for 3 missing Americans. They were last heard from on April 4th near Mazatlan, Mexico. Mexican Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard says they conducted nearly 300 search hours. They say they covered more than 200,000 square nautical miles, but there was never any sign of the missing vessel or passengers. 3 people were on their way to San Diego with plans to stop in Cabo San Lucas. Ultimately, they did not report in or arrive at all. In a joint statement over the weekend, their families say the 3 are all experienced sailors. Carrie and Frank both hold captain licenses with the Coast Guard. The Gross family provided a picture of Bill saying he has over 50 years of sailing experience. Linhu, a giant panda gifted to Thailand by China in 2003, died in the early hours of Wednesday morning. As is typical in such instances, experts from Thailand and China will investigate the cause of Linhu's death as soon as possible. That's according to the Chinese consulate in Chiang Mai. The 21-year-old panda had been a star resident at the Chiang Mai Zoo for nearly 2 decades and was referred to as, quote, the envoy of friendly exchange between the people of China and Thailand. Giant pandas in captivity can live up to 30 years, and that's according to conservation group World Wildlife Fund. Let's look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. So we've got some thunderstorms out there. The watch we had in southeast Kansas, as we mentioned, was canceled a couple hours ago. It was originally set to go through 7 a.m. We do have this little line of showers and some thunderstorms that's developing, starting to roll into the western parts of our viewing area. And then we do have some stronger storms that are starting to develop in northeast Oklahoma. So here's a look at this as the tail of that line has continued to develop. And as we head back toward Oklahoma, watch how quickly these storms go up here. And there is a severe thunderstorm warning now in Logan County. So these are something that we're watching. They're expected to kind of eventually, as you see, grow together here and then be a nice line of showers and storms rolling across our area. But they're moving into an environment that isn't necessarily favorable for severe weather. So while we'll see some thunderstorms, we're not anticipating any strong or severe storms, but course, we're going to keep an eye on that. We got the wind advisory, southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma through 7 a.m., southwest Missouri through 8 a.m. because it's very windy out there this morning. So here's a look at what the thinking is on this line. You can see it's a broken line of showers and thunderstorms. Here it is at 9 a.m. We start to see it roll on through. By noon, it's already in our far eastern counties, and after that, it is gone, and that's where they're going to deal with the severe weather threat to our southeast. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, shaking in the wind, but otherwise we are still good. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400, but as these storms approach, we'll obviously start to see a few more wet roads. Our camera, 7th and range line, shaking a bit as well. 71 Joplin, clear sky, south breeze at 26, gusting to 46. And as we look at temperatures across the region, we've got 71 Fort Scott, Parsons, Independence, Chatopa. 74 is one of the warmer spots there in Chanute. 70 Miami and Neosho. 68 in Monette, 72 Carthage, and 71 in Lamar and Nevada. As we get our morning started, again, we'll have those scattered showers and thunderstorms, those wind gusts in that 40-mile-an-hour plus range, commonplace through the morning. And you see temperatures don't really move much. They're just kind of hovering around the upper 60s, lower 70s, and then they'll try and warm up a degree or two as we head into the afternoon. We're looking at low 70s for highs, cloudy skies. Winds calm down a bit heading into the afternoon, but in that 20-25-mile-an-hour range. But as we head back into the overnight hours, they're going to start picking up in that 30-40-mile-an-hour range yet again. We'll clear out, mostly clear skies, and we get cold pretty quickly. That is going to be downright cold compared to what we've seen as we drop back to an overnight low of about 46 degrees. All right, once we get through these storms, again, not a bad day otherwise. Not too bad Friday, but chillier than where we have been, 66, 40 for the overnight low. So again, you want to make sure that your outdoor vegetation, you've just got to plan because it is going to get pretty cold over the next few nights. Only 55 on Saturday, if you can believe that, 35 for the overnight low. A little warmer Sunday, 62. We're looking at 61 Monday, maybe some thunderstorms, showers Tuesday, 64, 68, a few more showers on Wednesday. And because of this pattern next week, we don't really see a lot of change in those temperatures. As you can see, 60 Thursday, a break from rain, then more thunderstorm chances as we head into Friday and Saturday of next week. So something we'll, of course, continue to keep an eye on. So it's going to go back real quick and just take another look at these showers and storms across the area. So you can see no severe storms, just a little bit of lightning with some of this. This watch has actually been canceled. It's still showing up on this map, but because it officially expires at 6, but these two counties, Anderson and Coffee, have actually been removed from that watch not long after the majority of southeast Kansas was pulled out of that watch. So we'll continue to watch this line develop, and we'll continue to watch the activity down in Oklahoma, in central Oklahoma. As you can see, each sweep, we start to see a few more little showers pop up, and they'll eventually join in. And again, we're not anticipating this line to do anything crazy. It should calm down and just be some general thunderstorms for us. But again, we'll continue to keep an eye on it for you through the morning hours. And should any of these storms get unruly, we'll let you know right away. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. But first, check this out. We walk this hallway every day, and it is one of the most glorious hallways in the 4 states. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
A little girl is missing something that is near and dear to her. A rainbow Build-A-Bear with a recording of her mother's heartbeat. Now, the staff at the new Tazewell Goodwill are trying to reunite a family with a special item that was accidentally donated to the store. Sam Luther has the story.
In New Tazewell, the talk of the town is their local Goodwill store and this brightly colored bear that's no longer there.
Sadness. Yeah. But I hope you find it.
It belongs to a 4-year-old girl, but about a week ago, it was accidentally donated to this Goodwill store, then bought by an unknown shopper just days later. Why is it a heartbreaking story? Because of the heartbeat inside the bear. The heartbeat belongs to the little girl's mother, who recently passed away. It's one of the last things this 4-year-old has to remember her mom by. Now, they need to get it back. Shoppers hoping for the best.
I think that they'll get that bear back because it's spread through the news and I've saw it on Facebook, so the word's out.
More than 1 million people online have seen this story, and everyone who comes into this Goodwill sees this sign on the front door asking whoever bought the bear to bring it back. Goodwill management says the bear likely didn't go far.
Yes, I would say it probably is in East Tennessee.
The store doesn't ship items to other Goodwill locations. The family, wanting to remain anonymous, anxiously awaits good news. Those following the story are banking on the compassion of East Tennesseans to reunite this bear with its 4-year-old girl.
I'd say they will. I would.
Well, a Goodwill representative says the store has posted a sign asking for anyone who might have purchased the bear to bring it back to the store. Hope she gets it back. We'll be right back.
All right, we've got ourselves a few scattered storms through the morning hours. Not anticipating any strong or severe storms, but we'll keep an eye on them for you. We'll also still be breezy. We're talking those winds still gusting 40 miles an hour, possibly more. And the temperatures just hover in the upper 60s and lower 70s. As we head into the afternoon, we will clear out from the rain, but not the cloud cover. We'll remain cloudy, reaching eventually about 73 for a high. And then tonight we do clear out. Winds pick up again, and our overnight lows get downright cold, down to the mid-40s. We're a little chillier tomorrow, but still not bad, 66. Much colder Friday, 55 with a low of 35. So make sure your vegetation's ready to go, just in case, over the next few days. We try to warm up next week with some additional shower and thunderstorm chances Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, authorities released the name of the victim in Tuesday night's shooting in Galena and the name of the suspected shooter.
Got a very breezy start for us here this morning, and we've got thunderstorms on the way as well. We'll take a look at all that coming up.
And the mother of the girl missing during a recent Amber Alert becomes the latest person arrested in the case.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I did not almost fall over. I'm Chris Warner. So Carrie's a little taller than I am, so she's got to use a slightly taller box or shorter box than I do. Well, the short box is still here, and that makes everything out of perspective here. It's not the right size.
Makes your leg rest a little too.
There we go. That's about right. Well, what I don't have to stand on a box for, thankfully, is the green screen. We can make me any size that I need to be, and that's perfect because we want to show you what's going on. This is Skywatch Storm Tracker. We do have thunderstorms out in our western counties, as you can see, stretching right on through, rolling off to the east, southeast gradually, and you can see them develop over the last few hours on the trailing end of the stronger storms that were off in northeast Kansas, now moving in northwest Missouri. We don't have any watches or warnings in our immediate area. We're also watching the development. Just look how quickly this stuff goes up in Oklahoma, and we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in Logan County in Oklahoma. These two batches are eventually going to link together and then roll on through with some additional thunderstorms through the morning. But the good news is our atmosphere so far just not favorable for strong to severe storms. It's not to say we couldn't see a strong storm, but it's very unlikely. What we do have to deal with is southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, wind advisory through 7, southwest Missouri through 8. As that line gets together, we have a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. Here we are at 9 a.m. Again, not anticipating any severe weather. And the line starts to fall apart a little bit before it'll eventually get its act together as it moves further east. And that's where they're looking at the severe threat for today with this line of storms. We should be okay here. MoDOT camera 20th and range line, it is breezy, but otherwise good. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. You can see where the cold front is out there. We got 78 Center, Pittsburgh, Miami, Joplin, 69 Neosho, 71 Carthage and Lamar. We get our morning started. Scattered showers, thunderstorms, gusty winds pushing 40 miles an hour. As we head into the afternoon, winds start calming down 20-25 miles an hour. Cloudy skies, low 70s for our afternoon highs. We clear out tonight, mostly clear skies. Winds pick up again overnight, and we get cold down to 46 for our overnight low. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Federal judge sentences a Carthage man for sexually exploiting a child on Tuesday. Charles Ward Quinzel received 24 years and 5 months with no chance of parole in federal prison for sexually exploiting a Michigan child he met on Discord. Quinzel admitted that he used a child victim to produce child pornography from September 1st of 2020 to April 21st of 2021. Quinzel pleaded guilty in 2022. Upon completion of his sentence, Quinzel will spend 20 years on supervised release and will be subject to state and federal sex offender registration requirements. Local authorities arrest another person related to the Missouri statewide Amber Alert issued Saturday night. 38-year-old Amber Turner of Sarcoxie is charged with felony endangering the welfare of a child. She is the mother of the 7-year-old Sarcoxy girl who was reported missing. On Tuesday, authorities charged 23-year-old Matthew Honeycutt of Neosho with felony kidnapping. They're holding him in the Jasper County Jail with bonds set at $250,000 cash only. According to court filings, Honeycutt had Turner's permission to drive her car from her address with the child to something that was only going to take a few minutes. But he was gone 6 hours with the girl. The girl was found safe at I-44 exit 4 and did not appear harmed. She is currently in state custody. Authorities released the name of the victim in a fatal shooting in Galena, Kansas. Authorities say 27-year-old Levi Porter of Riverton was shot and killed Tuesday night in Galena. It happened around 9 p.m. on the 800 block of Columbus Avenue. Sheriff David Grove says Cherokee County emergency medical personnel tried to revive Porter, but were unsuccessful. Sheriff Grove says authorities arrested 49-year-old Billy Barker from Galena at the scene. He's now at the Cherokee County Jail on pending charges of second-degree murder. Missouri State Attorney General Andrew Bailey announces his office has launched a tip line for reports of questionable gender transition interventions. It's an online forum where those who have experienced harm from gender transition interventions or witnessed troubling practices at transition clinics in Missouri can submit concerns. It stems from an investigation AG Bailey launched into a St. Louis pediatric transgender center accused by a whistleblower of using experimental drugs on children, among other things. Opponents say it has the potential to put transgender people at risk of persecution. For now, access to the commonly prescribed abortion medication mifepristone remains intact. U.S. Supreme Court was expected to weigh in by last night on lower court rulings that imposed restrictions on the bill. Instead, in an unusual move for the High Court, it extended its temporary block of those rulings to Friday. Jared Hill has more.
Soon, the U.S. Supreme Court could take its first major action on abortion since overturning Roe v. Wade last year. Yesterday, Justice Samuel Alito extended a temporary pause, keeping the abortion pill mifepristone available nationwide for at least 2 more days. It gives the High Court more time to consider emergency requests from the Biden administration, as well as drug maker Danco Laboratories, looking to halt an appeals court ruling that imposed restrictions on the pill.
For them to say on Wednesday, actually, we need a little more time, it's all unusual. It suggests something is happening, we just don't know what.
The standoff over mifepristone started when Texas federal judge Matthew Kacsmaryk, a Trump appointee, sided with a conservative legal group earlier this month, ruling that the FDA improperly approved the medicine 23 years ago. Last week, an appeals court said Kacsmaryk went too far, but it kept some restrictions in place. The Biden administration argues that one judge cannot decide abortion policy for the entire country. The American Medical Association says the implications go beyond the issue of abortion.
We just think it's incredibly reckless to upend our entire drug approval system in this country.
The FDA says since gaining its approval in 2000, more than 5 million pregnant people have ended their pregnancies with mifepristone. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Yesterday, Gen BioPro, the country's only manufacturer of a generic mifepristone, filed a lawsuit against the FDA in an effort to keep the medication on the market. The drug maker is asking a Maryland federal court to block the FDA from depriving it, quote, of its constitutional and statutory rights to market mifepristone without affording Genipro due process of law. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we don't want to hog the details, but our own Chef Anthony Fisher is going to be in the Chef Anthony Test Kitchen. See, he's already brought in some of his veggies, and he's making pork chops with a veggie medley you don't want to miss. Plus, the impact of long COVID continues.
An explanation for why long COVID may be worse for some people. I'm Naomi Ruckham with the results of a new study.
And Chris returns with another look at your forecast and when the 4 states can expect to see a drastic cool down in temperatures. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. After a few strong storms overnight, we've got a new line of showers and thunderstorms starting to roll into our western counties, as you can see. Now, the good news is no severe thunderstorm watches, no severe thunderstorm warnings of any kind with this activity, but we could see a strong storm or two. So this is how it's kind of picked up on the trailing edge of a batch of stronger storms that's now off in northeast Kansas and northwest Missouri. But again, we're not anticipating any severe weather out of this activity. We go a little further to the south. Watch how quickly these thunderstorms across central Oklahoma get going. We do have this one severe thunderstorm warning down here just to the southeast of Stillwater. And this line, as you can see, they keep getting closer and closer. They're eventually expected to combine into one that will roll through the area through the morning. All right, wind advisory, southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, that runs until 7, and for southwest Missouri, it runs until 8 this morning. That's for wind gusts pushing 40 miles an hour, potentially greater. So at that line of storms, once it combines, we're not anticipating, again, any severe weather out of this. A strong storm or two, maybe, but our atmosphere, at least right now, is just not very conducive to thunderstorm development. So we'll see the showers, we'll see the thunderstorms along this broken line, and here we are at 9 a.m., stretching from Nevada back to Pittsburgh, west of Baxter, down toward Veneta, and by noon, it quickly rolls off to the east, and you can see, look at how just broken this line of showers is. It won't run into really good air until it gets further to our east, when it's expected to intensify and bring another round of severe weather down across central Arkansas and portions of southeast Missouri later today. So at least for us, we're getting lucky and not having to deal with too much in the way of severe weather. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, still shaking around in the wind out there. US 69 400, KDOT camera there, looks good as well. Of course, we'll be able to see these rain showers once they start to roll in. Our camera rather, at 7th and range line, a few more clouds out there now. You can see rolling in. 70 in Joplin, south breeze at 30, still gusting at 46 miles an hour. We've got 71 in Carthage, Lamar, Nevada, and Fort Scott, 70 in Pittsburgh, 71 Parsons, Chatopa, 70 Miami, and 69 in Neosho. We get our day started again, scattered storms, very breezy. Temperatures just kind of hovering, upper 60s, lower 70s. Around 73 for our high today. Once the storms are done, we clear out of the rain, but not the clouds. We remain cloudy, and we could still see winds pushing 20, 25 miles an hour. We go into the evening and overnight. We start to clear out from the clouds, go mostly clear overnight. Winds pick up again, and we get very cold compared to where we have been, down to the mid-40s. 66 tomorrow, mid-50s on Saturday. Cold nights tonight, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night especially. So make sure your plants are protected and ready to go for this bout of cold weather. A little warmer Sunday. We try to warm up heading into next week, and as we do so, we watch for additional shower and thunderstorm chances Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Well, welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We've got Chef Anthony back in studio this morning, and it's springtime, so why not cook with spring colors today?
Yes. Well, we're going to start this morning. We're going to end up doing a total of a sauteed vegetable medley with butterfly pork chops this morning. But we're going to talk about how to get our vegetables ready for our medley.
Okay.
So,
you've already cut up some peppers.
Yes, I cut up a red bell and a green bell. I have some onion here. And I'm just going to get a nice small dice with my onion.
I don't know if you guys recall, a couple weeks ago, Chef Anthony gave us some cutting techniques on one thing that we talked about cutting was an onion.
Yes.
And I noticed you're not going all the way through.
Correct. I'm not going all the way through because then when I cut down,
it holds it together this way.
Yes, and a lot less tears as well.
But you also only cut off one end of the onion, not both.
Yes. By not cutting off both ends of the onion, then you're allowing it to hold together to help you out while you're cutting it. So a lot of people are like, oh, I love the MasterChef episodes where they have to cut onions. I want this size, and then you're done. And then people go through 50, then 100, then 150 pounds worth of onions, and they still haven't got what they're supposed to get. So it's always good to know. So we're going to take some corn, and this is fresh corn, and I'm just going to.
A lot of corn in like the market right now.
Yes. So I'm just going to go run my knife right down, and you'll feel with your knife when you get too close to the center cob. So all you have to do is just run it down and let your knife kind of lead its way through.
Okay.
and life will be golden for this. But I like to cut my corn from the cob because you get a really beautiful, really beautiful looking corn. So
and this is a marble
yes.
type too. So.
And all of our produce this morning, as usual, comes from Martinez, and they always have really beautiful stuff. Their shoppers do a really good job at trying to find something nice for us. But one of the key things that I want to talk about this morning is zucchini and squash.
Okay.
Now, a lot of the things that I run across a lot with my students is, I don't like it because it's soggy or spongy. Well, there's a reason behind it. So on zucchini and squash, you take your ends off, and we're going to cut right down, not through the middle, but right down the edge to where we can just see the center core.
Okay.
And we're going to roll it over, and we're going to do that all the way around it. Taking it off each time.
Leaving quite a bit of meat on.
Yes, but this is the part we want to get rid of.
Okay.
Because this is the center core.
It's a big piece, yeah.
But in the center core, you can feel it's spongy already.
Right.
So when you add heat to it, it gets even more spongy, gets soggy.
It is edible though. Just
it is edible.
Some people don't like it.
Exactly, and most people don't like it because of this. But I save this part because you can dredge this in a little bit of flour, throw it in a hot skillet, just slice it real thin.
Make some
zucchini bites out of it, and dredge it in flour and in a hot skillet with butter. You come up with little zucchini chips, but for the majority of people who don't like zucchini because of that reason, this is the perfect preparation for it.
And we're almost out of time. Would you cut these the same way?
I do the squash the exact same way, and then you just cut it right into strips, about the size that you want it to be, in your bite size, and then just cut it down.
Okay, so we'll have 5 different diced veggies here on our medley.
Yes.
When we come back on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, we're gonna put these in the skillet, I'm assuming?
Yes.
In the skillet along with our pork chops, and we will put together our butterfly pork chops and
vegetable medley.
We'll be right back. Topping Health Watch this morning, a review of 12 years of data from the U.S. Poison Control Centers finds a growing number of suspected suicidal cannabis exposures. They increased 17% annually, with an even bigger rise among children during and after the pandemic. Researchers say cannabis use is associated with depression and anxiety, and the new study provides more evidence marijuana access should be limited among young people. Women with prenatal depression are more likely to suffer from heart problems up to 2 years after giving birth. That's the finding from a new study published by the American Heart Association. Researchers found those diagnosed with prenatal depression had an 85% higher risk of heart attack and 42% higher risk of stroke. They say it's important for doctors to help patients take preventative measures. And a new study finds the severity of what's known as long COVID, now occurring in about 1/3 of survivors, depends on the initial illness. Naomi Rookham spoke with a mother in Michigan.
3 years since her initial COVID infection, Sarah Bursma still has lingering symptoms.
Sometimes things don't smell at all or taste at all, and sometimes there's things that I'm smelling that aren't even there.
The mom of 3 also has bouts of fatigue and is more prone to respiratory illness.
I just have to watch it and be very careful and treat myself a different way than I used to.
Researchers at the Northwestern Medicine Neuro COVID-19 Clinic followed 600 long haulers. They found symptoms differ depending on the severity of the patient's COVID infection and whether they were hospitalized.
We saw that those patients who were previously hospitalized with severe pneumonia perform worse in tasks of processing speed, attention, and working memory.
More than 80% of patients in the study experienced brain fog, 70% had headaches, and more than half lost their sense of taste and smell. Bursma trained and ran in the Chicago Marathon last year, but believes her long COVID is here for the long run.
Do you anticipate having symptoms for even longer?
I, at this point, feel like what I have is not going to go away.
Bursma says she's grateful to feel mostly back to herself and has a new perspective on her health. Naomi Rookham, CBS News, New York.
In the study, other long COVID symptoms included dizziness, insomnia, and depression or anxiety. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got a few showers and thunderstorms out there across the area. You can see on the Skywatch storm tracker, just across parts of southeast Kansas, no strong or severe thunderstorms with any of this activity. And you can see it to kind of develop over the last couple of hours or last few hours here. It's not very impressive, and that's how it's expected to remain. Even the severe thunderstorm warning in Oklahoma is now gone. This line and this line still expected to join together, but they shouldn't do much for us in terms of severe weather, just some general thunderstorms and showers. We got wind advisory, southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma through 7 a.m., southwest Missouri through 8 a.m. And here's a look at what the expectation with that line is. Here it is at 9, a very broken line of showers and thunderstorms across the area. By noon, it's much further east, and after that, it is out of here where they're anticipating some severe weather across the central Arkansas and southeast Missouri areas. We'll take another complete look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes.
Right now at 6:30, from rock bottom to triumph, KOAM's Carrie Worthen introduces us to a Carthage woman who overcame hardships to make her life a success and an inspiration to others.
We've got ourselves a very breezy morning across the area and some thunderstorm chances later this morning. We'll talk about all of that coming up.
And we take you foraging for edible plants in the 4 states with wilderness expert Bo Brown at the Wildcat Glades in Joplin.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's still mild for most of us across the area, but also very breezy for most of us across the area, and it's going to stay breezy through the morning. Now we're watching showers and thunderstorms out to our west. The good news is we have no watches, no warnings, nothing out there. Just a few of your standard type thunderstorms starting to roll into our western counties, and they will eventually join up with this line that's been developing across parts of central Oklahoma as the morning progresses. But even when they do that, we're still not looking at much in terms of severe weather. The good news is a good portion of southeast Kansas removed from the wind advisories. However, these counties and northeast Oklahoma still in it until 7 a.m. And then, of course, Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties and points to the east still under that wind advisory through 8 a.m. As those two lines merge together, you can see it is a broken line of showers and a few rumbles of thunder out there by 9 a.m. And that'll continue to roll through the area, continue to be a very broken line. It won't get its act together until it gets further to our east, where they're anticipating another set of severe weather across parts of central Arkansas and southeast Missouri. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, looking good, but you can see it waving in the wind. KDOT camera at 69 and 400, just south of Pittsburgh. We're looking okay so far this morning. And from our camera at 7th and range line, you can see we're starting to go mostly cloudy out there, sitting at 70, south breeze at 30, still gusting upwards of 46 miles an hour. Temperatures across the area, not bad. 71 Lamar, Nevada, Fort Scott, Parsons, Chatopa, 70 Miami, and 69 in Neosho. As we get our day started, scattered storms, breezy, temperatures hovering upper 60s, lower 70s. We head into the afternoon. We remain cloudy but dry. Winds gusting 20, 25 miles an hour, highs near 73. Tonight, we clear out. Winds pick up again overnight, and then we get downright cold, down to the mid-40s for our overnight lows. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. A woman from Carthage, Missouri shares the story of her struggles with the hopes of inspiring others. And KOAM's Carrie Worthen joins us with her story. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning. Sometimes when you hit rock bottom, all you have left to do is go back up. Tony Smith shares her story of trials and tribulations.
I had went through a pretty awful divorce in 2012, and my now ex-husband and myself began to use meth. Long story short, I ended up in an abandoned warehouse in Springfield, Missouri. I was still using meth daily. I would go and find food out of dumpsters.
She then found herself without shelter after police kicked her out of the warehouse. Tony Smith had nowhere to go. Today, Smith is an executive director of Crosslines in Carthage, Missouri. But her road to getting where she is today has not been easy.
Wandered around Walmart for a couple of hours, and then the manager made me leave. And I went to a gentleman's house that I used to do some work for off and on for him, and I knew he smoked on his front porch, and so I went over there to smoke one of his cigarettes, and his car was in the driveway and the keys were in it, and I took the car into a Dollar Tree to steal something to eat, and the car had a tracker on it, and so the police came right in and arrested me.
Smith says that the arrest led to a change in her lifestyle.
by the grace of God, I was arrested. And when I got out of jail, I went to a recovery program, and then I came to the crisis center. It just changed my life. You know, I began the path of going to work and saving my money and paying off my debt and my legal fees and getting my student loans and, you know, back into rehabilitation, as they call it, and began to save up money.
Smith started out at Crosslines volunteering for nearly 3 years before the executive director job opened up, and she was encouraged to apply.
Carthage Community, Crisis Center, everybody that pours into the Crisis Center, everybody that pours into Crosslines, and people, I would have said, in spite of knowing my past, still love me, but because of my past, they love me. Through the Crisis Center, and you know, they do in-house Bible study, and you know, I've written in my Bible, in my prayer journal, God, I would like the home that you'd like me to have, the church you'd like me to have, the job you'd like me to have, and he just above and beyond, far more than I could ask for.
Smith just bought her first house and visits the Carthage Crisis Center often to mentor and help others. She also says to reach out anytime you need to talk, pray, or get a guidance for some help.
Well, thanks, Carrie. What was one thing that you took away from your interview with Smith?
I've noticed with her through the whole interview, you know, we had a long interview and you have to put everything into a 2-minute, and it's supposed to be 1:30, but I went over a package. But I noticed the whole time that she didn't make it about herself. She made it about helping others, and that she really was, she feels like this is something that she was supposed to happen in her life. She's supposed to go through all these trials. That way she could help others overcome their trials.
All right. Well, you did a nice job telling her story.
Thank you
very much. On Wednesday, a Joplin program connecting seniors with volunteer programs hosted its graduation. The Give 5 program is a civic matchmaking program that connects current and soon-to-be retirees 55 and older with volunteer opportunities that best fit their skill sets and passions. For the last 5 weeks, 14 retirees have visited 23 area nonprofits to learn more about the services they provide.
These seniors and retirees got to see kind of behind the scenes. We kind of pulled the curtain back and let them see the operation of the nonprofit community and see where those needs are for volunteerism and the potential to go out and actually volunteer with one of those agencies. We call this civic matchmaking.
The Give 5ers are now asked to commit to volunteering 5 hours a month to one or more of the agencies they visited. The Knights of Columbus and Joplin donate more than $800 to the Dunwig Education Center. Officials with the KOC say the money will be used by the school to purchase items the kids can play with when they complete the task ahead of them. The funds will also be utilized to buy skill-type materials for its special education program.
I think donations like this are very needed. The school district is very limited on the funds that they get every school year to buy materials for students, and same on the Matic sale side. We have a few donations that come in throughout the year that are spread across a lot of different programs, so any donations that we get are very well received.
Last fall, the local KOC chapter raised funds with its Tootsie Roll sales. On Wednesday, the Wildcat Glades Friends Group hosted a foraging class in the Spirit of Earth's Month. Bo Brown, an author with more than 30 years wilderness experience, led a group through the trails gathering edible plants. Brown talked about which native or invasive plants are safe to eat.
Only a handful of plants that will actually do you in if you eat them. And they're in the carrot family for the most part. There's another wildflower that's actually woods bunch flower, some people call it.
Brown plans to have more foraging classes in the future. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, the road to a greener future for some is paved with bio-waste as a farm in England utilizes a tractor powered by converted cow dung that farmers are calling liquid gold.
And we've got ourselves a windy and cloudy day ahead of us with some thunderstorm chances in the forecast. We'll take a look at the full forecast coming up. But first, here's a live look from KOAM from the server room here. There's a lot of technology keeping us on the air. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
In Consumer Watch this morning, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, Meta, has started the layoffs it announced last month. The social media giant is cutting as many as 10,000 tech worker jobs. This comes as Facebook users in the U.S. can now apply to collect a piece of the $725 million settlement over privacy violation claims. Americans who have had a Facebook account at any time between May 24th of 2007 December 22nd of 2022 can fill out a form on the KOAM website. The deadline to submit is August 25th of this year. Tesla is slashing prices again off its top-selling Model Y and its less expensive Model 3. Both are eligible for the $7,500 federal tax incentive for electric vehicle purchases. The price drop comes as the company's latest data showed a 24% decline in sales the first 3 months of 2023 compared to last year. Netflix is delaying its crackdown on account sharing as well as its paid sharing plan in the U.S., which allows users to share their account with people outside of their home for an extra fee. The streaming service says it faced what it calls cancel reaction when launching the plan in other countries. Netflix believes the strategy will eventually grow its membership. The limit on password sharing, which was supposed to have happened already according to Netflix's original plan, is now expected to go into effect by the end of June. Well, it's estimated there are about 2 million livestock farms in the United States, which makes for a lot of manure. One company in England found a green solution to that stinky problem. Ian Lee reports.
7-year-old James is the future of his family farm, and he's also shoveling the farm's future.
It is a form of liquid gold, isn't it? Because you can't do much without slurry. It's an incredible form of fertilizer.
That slurry, or liquid cow patties, are powering this English farm.
The power of poo.
Cow waste gives off harmful methane. Instead of leaking it into the atmosphere, it's captured and turned into fuel. Cornwall company Benneman created the system to capture and process the gas.
The bottom layer is the dirty gas, the upper layer is the processed gas.
That's correct, yeah.
How much gas can you produce in a day?
In a day we can produce half a ton.
That's enough to run this New Holland tractor for about a week.
Well, we call it the T6180 methane power, but my children call it the cow fart tractor.
Scientists estimate livestock are responsible for 14% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
Dairy and cows have been sort of demonized for destroying the ozone layer, and that's absolutely wrong, because in fact what we're doing here is we're promoting dairy as a way of reducing fossil fuel usage.
The next step is developing a methane-powered generator to take the farm completely off the grid.
Milking, lights, the whole bang, like it'll all be run off poo.
And you have a new appreciation for the poo too?
Yes, I do. Before, when you're in here cursing it and moving it around, now you still curse a little bit, but you just think of the greater good, don't you? Because it's doing amazing things.
The stench of going green never smelled so good. Ian Lee, CBS News, Cornwall, England.
That county in England is even buying some of the farm's carbon-friendly fuel to run government vehicles that repair local roads. New Holland and Benneman predict if all the waste in the UK was utilized, they could provide about 10% of the country's energy needs. That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got a few showers and a couple of thunderstorms out in our western counties, progressively making their way to the east. And we've got the thunderstorm activity back in northeast Oklahoma as well. You can see this line developing, but it is not very well organized, nor is it expected to be. Same with this down here. We did have a brief severe thunderstorm warning, and that's since gone away. These lines eventually expected to try and meet up, and then they'll just be rolling into the area. And some more good news that just happened. Wind advisory is gone for most of us with the exception of northeast Oklahoma and Anderson and Coffee counties in southeast Kansas. So that's some good news, but it is still breezy this morning. This line of storms very disorganized, tries to roll through. Here it is at 9 a.m. By noon, it's a little further to the east, and later in the afternoon, it will be out of here. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range line. We got cloudy in a hurry out there, and you can see it blowing in the breeze. And from our KDOT camera at 69 and 400, you can see it's a little darker because it's a little bit cloudier. There's a look at those clouds over Joplin right now. Temperatures are not bad. 70 Joplin, Pittsburgh, and Carthage, 71 Parsons, Chatopa, 70 in Miami. As we get our morning started, still gusty winds pushing 40 miles an hour, scattered showers and thunderstorms, and temperatures hovering in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Our daily celebration of birthdays and anniversaries are just around the corner, but first, let's head out to New York City and see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
Hello to you, I'm Gail Kane, coming right up and only on CBS Mornings. We like when that happens. Former First Lady Michelle Obama joins us right here in the studio. We're talking about her new podcast, Michelle Obama, The Light Podcast it's called, and that upcoming Netflix special, The Light We Carry with Oprah. There's only one. That's coming right up on CBS Mornings.
All right, time for some birthdays on this Thursday morning, and we're going to begin in Mulberry with Jasper Russell, who's turning 6. Happy birthday, Jasper.
And Easton Hines celebrating birthday number 10 in Anderson, Missouri.
And Caden Bauer celebrating birthday number 12 in Fairland with love from Mom, Dad, and Kane.
Alexis Abbott celebrating number 22 this year in Chanute. Happy birthday, Alexis.
And we've got Gianna Cable celebrating birthday number 45. Happy birthday to you.
Jean Myrick celebrating number 59 this year. Somebody's ready for Christmas again, it looks like.
And we've got Jeff and Bev Bieber celebrating their 32nd anniversary in Joplin. Very happy anniversaries to the Biebers.
And out in Arcadia, Kansas, Tina Berkeley celebrating another year wiser. Hope you have a great one.
All right, Tanya, where do people need to send their celebrations to so that we can celebrate with them?
All they have to do is email their pictures and all the information, don't forget their name and the date for sure, to birthdayswithanS@KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website checking it out for all the cool features it has, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get special deals from local businesses. You also get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today. All right. Here's what we've got on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. A few scattered showers and thunderstorms across southeast Kansas. Nothing strong, nothing severe, and that's the way it's expected to remain. All of this coming off that line that rolled through, is rolling through the Kansas City area, now moving just east. Kind of tried to get going down here, but it's just not really conducive to development down in our area. Had some storms going across central Oklahoma. Did have a severe thunderstorm warning just to the east of Stillwater, but that has since expired. These two lines eventually will merge across the area, but again, no strong to severe storms expected. Only folks left now in wind advisories are northeast Oklahoma, and that continues until 7 a.m., so for about the next 11 minutes. We'll have that line of showers and scattered thunderstorms rolling through the area. Here we are at 9 a.m. Again, nothing strong or severe expected out of this. Here we are by noon. It won't actually run into a favorable environment until it gets much further east of us, so we should be okay from the strong to severe thunderstorm situation. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, looking back to the south. It is waving in the wind, and it is getting cloudier out there across the area. Same cloudy view from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. And here's a better view of those clouds from our camera at 7th and range line. Sitting at 70 in Joplin, south breeze at 30, still gusting to 46 miles an hour out there. There's where that cold front is, so a little cooler in Yates Center and Iola at 69. 71 in Parsons, Chatopa, 70 Pittsburgh, 71 Lamar, 70 Carthage, 69 Neosho, and even cooler yet down in Anderson at 67. We'll have those scattered storms through the morning, gusty winds, temperatures hovering right around the 70-degree mark. The winds will let up and only be about 20-25 miles an hour through the afternoon. We remain cloudy, and we're still at least a little bit on the warm side, lower 70s this afternoon. As we head into this evening, we start to clear out. Winds will pick up again overnight, and we get downright cold, dropping back to the mid-40s for our overnight lows, and we're going to hit a bit of a cool spell through the weekend. 66 tomorrow, 55 Saturday, 62 on Sunday. And check out those overnight lows, 40, 35, 40, so make sure your outdoor vegetation is ready for this. We'll start to try and warm up heading into next week, and we'll also watch for some additional shower and thunderstorm chances. Well, coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, we boldly go where many have gone before, into the halls of Congress. But this time, it's a little different and a little more mysterious. Lawmakers gathered to hear testimony from the Pentagon's director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, an agency in charge of UFO investigations. So, is the truth out there? Well, you have to join us to find out when and what when the KOAM Morning News switches over at 7.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Carthage man receives 24 years and 5 months with no chance of parole in federal prison for sexually exploiting a Michigan child he met on Discord. Charles Ward Kinsel pleaded guilty to the crime in 2022. Upon completion of his sentence, Quinsel will spend 20 years on supervised release and will be subject to state and federal sex offender registration requirements. Authorities released the name of the victim in a fatal shooting in Galena, Kansas. 27-year-old Levi Porter of Riverton was shot and killed Tuesday night in Galena. Sheriff David Grove says Cherokee County emergency medical personnel tried to revive Porter but were unsuccessful. Sheriff Grove says authorities arrested 49-year-old Billy Barker from Galena at the scene. He's now at the Cherokee County Jail on pending charges of second-degree murder. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly signs into law a bill designating hundreds of acres in Allen County as a state park. 360 acres known as the Lehigh property includes a lake, a cave, and more than 14 miles of existing trails. Plans for the state park include a visitor center, RV hookups, floating cabins, and primitive campsites. Joplin program connecting seniors with volunteer programs hosts its graduation. The Give 5 program is a civic matchmaking program that connects current and soon-to-be retirees, 55 and older, with volunteer opportunities that best fit their skill sets and passions. For the last 5 weeks, 14 retirees have visited 23 area nonprofits to learn more about the services they provide. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And we've got a few scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area as you head out the door. And we're also breezy, still looking at some of us getting gusts upwards of about 40 miles an hour. As we head into the afternoon, the showers will let up, the clouds will hang around. Excuse me, we'll still have the winds gusting 20-25 miles an hour, temperatures near 73. As we head into this evening, clouds begin to clear out, winds return overnight, and we get downright cold, dropping back to a low of 46. Taking a look ahead, we're at 66 tomorrow for the high, 40 for the low, 55 Saturday down to 35, 62 Sunday and down to 40, so make sure your outdoor vegetation is ready for this round of cold air. As we head into next week, though, the good news is we do try to warm up at least a little bit here and there, but as we warm up, we also see chances, or additional chances rather, for some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making bacon and fried chicken waffle witch in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Sounds good. And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. They're pumping unlimited amounts of groundwater into the Arizona desert to irrigate alfalfa fields. And it's a Saudi Arabian company that's doing it. Coming up on CBS Mornings, why it's happening and what the new Attorney General of Arizona says she's going to do about it.
Interesting. Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, we've got Chef Anthony Fisher from Pittsburgh High School back in our Studio K to put the finishing touches on his pork chops and vegetable medley.
You certainly do not want to miss that. And of course, we'll watch these storms this morning, but we're not anticipating anything strong or severe. So that's some good news there. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We will see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we do it again today at noon.